Hey guys, it's Michelle with All Ears English. Welcome to our YouTube channel. On this episode, Lindsay and I are going to discuss the question, what are you up to? Now, what does this mean? And how do you answer? What's the right way to go about this? Because this is a super common question, guys. So it's important to kind of know the ins and outs. And Lindsay and I will guide you through that with this episode. So definitely take a listen. So if you want to get your English level, you can head over to allearsenglish.com/fluency score to take a super short quiz and get your English level with fluency. And also, you can get tons of free resources there for your English level. So head on over to allearsenglish.com/fluency score to find out more. All right, enjoy the episode.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 504, how to respond to what are you up to in English?
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, downloaded more than 16 million times. We believe in connection, not perfection, with your American hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Michelle Kaplan, the New York radio girl, coming to you from Boston and New York City, USA. And to instantly download your transcript from today's episode, go to allearsenglish.com/transcripts. allearsenglish.com/transcripts. Today, find out the best ways to respond to small talk questions like, how have you been and what are you up to, in a charismatic way for better connections in English. If you want to start speaking natural, everyday English, get the 100 most common phrases in English. It's a free ebook that you can download immediately. Go to allearsenglish.com/100. Hey there, Michelle. How you doing today?
Hey, Lindsay, I'm good. How are you?
I am feeling good. Happy to be back here at All Ears English recording with you.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Very cool. Very cool. So we love to give our listeners natural native English. And so today we have a greeting that is super, super natural that one of our listeners wrote in and asked about. So we are going to go ahead and answer that question. Okay. And then we're going to, well, first I'm going to read the question, but really the expression, Michelle, is what are you up to?
Okay. All right. Let's hear it.
Okay. So here's the question. So the person says, hi, Lindsay and Michelle. I'm Jan, an avid listener of All Ears English from Singapore. I'm intermediate to advanced. And in terms of reading and listening, because I can I can understand very well, to any reading or listening material that's available, but not in speaking. I find myself struggling in connecting with people during conversations. For instance, I have a friend who usually starts a conversation by asking, hi, how have you been? Followed by, what are you up to? Almost every time we see each other. Honestly, the second question makes me lose the connection because I'm not sure how to respond. I understand that it means something like, what are you doing? But I still get confused. Should I tell her what I've done in the past few days, what I was doing at the moment, or what I was planning to do in the next few days or weeks? Are there any other phrases I can experiment with the next time I'm asked the same questions? Okay. So that's really the question. I'll stop reading here, but good question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle, is this a confusing phrase sometimes?
I think so. It depends how you use it, but yeah, it sounds a little bit confusing in this way.
Exactly. And before we get into this, I just want to remind our listeners, guys, Michelle, we are now offering the transcripts. The transcripts are back. I know. So we used to do this. We used to offer transcripts and then we stopped offering them. So the cool thing is, if you don't quite catch everything that we say today, you can go and get yourself the transcripts and you can do this again. You can listen again with the transcripts.
Absolutely.
So to get that, go to allearsenglish.com/transcripts. Okay. So let's start with this question. What are you up to?
Okay.
What does it mean?
Well, it means, like, what are you doing right now, right? Maybe if the person sees you regularly, right? So, yeah, that's what it means.
So maybe it depends on, understanding what this means depends on your relationship with the person and how often you see them. right? Because if my friend calls me from Seattle and she says, what are you up to? She could mean right now, or she could mean in general, like in your life.
Yeah. And I think that that's interesting that you pointed out, asking on the phone, because that's what this phrase makes me think of, actually.
When someone calls?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. What are you up to? Like, what are you up to right now? I don't necessarily, I feel like what are you up to in person? I don't know. There's something about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a really good point, Michelle. It's used more on the phone, I think, when we call someone, or maybe we send someone a text message.
Yeah, because we can't see them. So
yeah, it really just means, what are you doing right now?
Yeah. What are you up to? Oh, I'm talking to Lindsay.
Yeah. So I think one reason our listener is struggling here is I think she's overthinking this a little bit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to be careful not to overthink things, because that's a symptom of perfectionism.
Right.
Right. I'm a chronic overthinker myself, so I know how that works.
Oh, me too.
There's a lot of people in my life that are overthinkers, actually. Yeah, it's an epidemic nowadays, Michelle. Okay, so if someone says this to us, then how do we answer? So our listeners want vocabulary for this, Michelle. So what do we say?
Okay, well, I mean, you could just say, oh, not much, you.
Right, not much, you. Instead of and you could say and you, or you could just say you.
Or what about you?
What about you? Right? We try to keep it as simple and as casual as possible. Or you could say, oh, not a whole lot. What about you? Right? We already said that. So not a whole lot.
Right.
Or you could tell them exactly what you're doing.
I'm working on, my project, a new podcast episode.
Yeah. I'm just finishing up All Ears English episode 5 something. and you, right? And you. Okay.
Right.
What could you say if you're going somewhere? If you're in the process of traveling somewhere,
you could say like, oh, I'm off to Spain. What are you doing?
Right. Or I'm off to the dentist.
Right.
What are you doing? Right. Okay. Good. You listen to All Ears English every day, but did you know that we can also help you achieve your 7 on the IELTS exam? Find out why our strategies are the most powerful in the entire IELTS world when you get started with our Insider Masterclass. Go to allearsenglish.com/insider. That's allearsenglish.com/INSIDER. And what if the person is actually asking more about your life? Like, what have you been up to?
Yeah, that to me sounds more like an in-person.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think you're right, Michelle. This is more like you sit down and you have coffee with someone.
Right, exactly. That's more like, oh, we're in the conversation. So, what have you been up to lately, you know?
Yeah, actually, so these two phrases, what are you up to and what have you been up to, are used differently in different contexts.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there are times when they can overlap, but basically, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, somebody would probably say, what are you up to if they're talking to me on the phone or texting, or what have you been up to if we're like sitting down together, hanging out, and we haven't seen each other in a little while.
Ooh, I'm glad you said that, Michelle. That's a really good point. Thanks. I didn't think about that when I was writing out these ideas, but you are right on. I like it.
I'm sure you could use them in either kind of way, but that's the basic idea for me, at least.
That's the basic idea. Let's go with that. Okay. I like it. So let's imagine that we're in that conversation then. Okay. We've just met with someone who we haven't seen in a couple of months, and we're sitting down for coffee at Think Coffee, my favorite cafe in Boston.
Okay.
And what are we going to say? I say, Michelle, what have you been up to?
Yeah. I could say like, oh yeah, I've been good. I've been, planning my next vacation or something like that.
Yeah. Now you've got traveling on the mind, right, Michelle? Because you just came back from India.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, or you could say something like, it's funny because we don't always have to answer this literally, right? If I say, what have you been up to? It's also acceptable for you to say, Michelle, oh, things have been good. Just getting ready for final exams.
Right. Or you could even say like, oh, not too much, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Oh, not too much. Spending a lot of time, preparing for the Boston Marathon or something.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, not much. Yeah, I like that.
So there are a bunch of different ways that we can respond to this, but it's not always exactly a question of you can answer it in a bunch of creative ways.
Right. I think that a lot of times people say, "Oh, not much," and then it's always funny. It's like, "Oh, not much, but this."
But
we just always tend to say nothing, but really something.
Right, because in some ways it's sort of just a greeting.
Right. It's just like, "Oh, this is what I'm supposed to say," and it's kind of like, "Oh, everything's fine."
Yeah, it's like, "How are you?" "I'm fine."
Yeah.
But then now I'm going to tell you about how my grandmother's in the hospital. And
Exactly. That's a funny, that's the craziest thing, you know?
That's weird. Yeah, that is a little bit weird. It's like we want to kind of warm people up.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a greeting. And then we can get into it if the conversation goes there. But you're not going to just, at the very beginning of a conversation, you're not going to say your grandmother's in the hospital. It's just out of context. It's not, the person's not ready for it.
Right. Of course, unless they're like very close to you. But yeah, you're kind of, like, I like what you said. You have to like kind of warm up to like what's really going on.
Yeah. And I do think that is a cultural thing that might be quite different between American culture and the cultures of our listeners, depending on what culture they're from. But that's just fascinating. I really like that. I think that's so interesting. So if you are confused, you know, if you're sitting there and you really don't know what the person's asking about, you know, are they asking about the past, the present, the future? What could you say, Michelle?
Yeah, you could ask them to clarify, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ask them to clarify. And how would you do that in English?
Yeah, so you could say, "Oh, you mean these days?" Like, "Oh, do you mean these days?" Like,
right.
Now? Or you could say, "Oh, do you mean what am I doing this moment?"
Right. So there's nothing wrong with asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask, guys. It's okay.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. Let's do a situation here, a little role play.
Okay.
So, ring, ring. Hey, Michelle.
Oh, hey, Lindsay.
Hey, what are you up to?
Oh, you mean right now? Oh, I'm getting on the train and heading downtown. There's a poetry slam happening at Think Coffee at 4. What are you up to? Want to join me?
Cool. Yeah, sure. That sounds great. I'll meet you there around 3:45.
Awesome. I should have said, what are you up to?
What are you up to? Right. It's funny. Would you go to a poetry slam? Do you go to poetry slams?
I know. I feel like we just switched places.
You think I go to poetry slams?
Do you?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No way. No. I'm a little bit of hippy dippy, I know, but I don't go to poetry slams. All right. So there you said, what are you up to? And you asked the question because you were confused. Oh, you mean right now? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the second role play, it's someone that you haven't talked to in a while. So we're catching up here. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay.
Oh, hey, Michelle, it's great to hear your voice.
I know, Lindsay. We haven't caught up in a while. So what's up in your life? What are you up to these days?
Oh, not much. I'm planning my summer vacation and getting super excited for that.
Oh, nice.
And you, what's going on with you?
Oh, well, I just got back from India, so I'm just settling back in. It was incredible.
Cool. And I like that, settling in,
Yeah.
right? That phrasal verb, just settling back in. That's very nice. Just getting comfortable again at home.
Yeah. I like, so it's actually, I mean, not to get back to this phone thing, but it sounded in both situations like we were on the phone, right?
Yeah. I think in these situations we were. Actually, I should have talked about that in the beginning.
No, it's fine. But it's interesting because, you say like, what are you up to these days? Wait, but did we also say, yeah, sorry. Just interesting that we're on the phone.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, these conversations could happen on the phone. I think in the second role play, because sometimes I catch up with my friends from college that I haven't talked to in a while, and we don't meet in person, right? We meet on the phone. But I still say, what are you up to? What are you up to these days?
Or you could say, what have you been up to, right? So it's not that, so I'm kind of actually correcting myself from before, because so it's not that like you wouldn't say, what have you been up to on the phone? Like you can say that on the phone, but it's more like in the more of a, I don't know, getting back in touch kind of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, getting back in touch, catching up.
Yeah.
We could do another episode on how to catch up with someone. That would actually be a good episode idea.
Okay.
how to catch up with someone that you haven't seen in a while. So we'll do that in another day. So just hopefully we've clarified. If you're confused, guys, then you want to get the transcripts because it's hard to get to catch everything that we hear without using the transcripts. So go to allearsenglish.com/transcripts. But Michelle, what's the takeaway from today? What's the basic takeaway?
And the takeaway is, you really have to think about the context, right? Mm-hmm. What are they asking you about? Also, you want to think about your relationship with this person, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And finally, don't be afraid to ask the person if you're really confused. And that goes for every situation that we're in,
right?
As non-native speakers in the US or in a new country, just ask. There's nothing wrong. Like people want to help you,
Right. And also, don't think that native speakers don't get confused too, like I might get confused about what my friend is talking about. And so I ask, so don't think, it means my English isn't good enough or something like that, because that's not the case. Sometimes other people are being unclear.
Yeah. So we want to put the focus back on connection so that you want to answer that question because you want to get to the topic. You don't want to just fumble in your own head and remain, perfectionistic and try to answer it perfectly and then miss the connection, right?
Right. So, it could be just a miscommunication. And it sounds like, with your friend, you can just ask. You can just ask. It's not that your friend is being unclear. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Your friend is great. But, just, feel free to ask and know that, native speakers, we get confused all the time about what other people are talking about. Sometimes it's just something gets, lost in the connection.
Yeah, no, that's true. But this is these phrases. What have you been up to? What's going on with you? How are you doing? These are very important small talk questions for someone if they want to be charismatic, right, Michelle? And we just came out with the Charismatic Connector, and you guys can actually get a free Charisma Masterclass. It's a free video lesson. If you go right now to allearsenglish.com/CHARISMA, you can get started there today because charisma is so important to our business success, isn't it, Michelle?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so you can go on over and get that, guys, if you want to become more charismatic in English. So this has been fun, Michelle. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for that great question.
Good question to our listener. I believe the name was Jean. Thank you so much. And we are out for today. See you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to All Ears English. And if you need a 7 or higher on your IELTS exam to achieve your life vision, then our Insider Method can get you there. Start with our free video series masterclass. Get video 1 now at allearsenglish.com/INSIDER. And if you believe in connection, not perfection, then subscribe to our show on your phone or on your computer. See you next time.